And you're actually going back to the courthouse starting tomorrow. What are you expecting as this trial continues?
Well, so Ivanka's going to be on the stand tomorrow. I think that that testimony may carry a little bit over into the next day. The state of New York then will stop calling witnesses, and it'll be up to the defense team to begin calling witnesses. So there's a chance that they might bring Don Jr. and Eric back onto the stand, and we expect them to bring a lot of experts and appraisers to come on and say, actually Donald Trump is really rich, and this is all, values are super hard to determine, and, this case doesn't have merit. I think that those sorts of things will stretch, well into December. Then we'll have closing arguments, and ultimately the judge will make a decision. But, in some ways he's already decided some of the central components of this case, and he's, telegraphed throughout the proceedings that he doesn't look very charitably upon the Trump camp's position, and so I don't think this is going to go their way.
And you've been in the courthouse for this trial. What has been the most unbelievable moment to you as you've been sitting there?
Well, there have been a lot of really incredible moments, but I think that maybe the most fascinating was the day that Michael Cohen was on the stand, and he seemed to admit to very inconsistent testimony, and admitted to lying in other instances under oath, and so everything was very tense. He was, had been sort of shaken on the stand, and Trump's lawyers wanted to immediately declare victory, and on the spot asked the judge to end the case, and the judge basically said, heck no way. This case is full of documentation, and, the judge saying this, view Michael Cohen as that critical of a witness. So no way, no how that this case is going to be thrown out. At that point, Donald Trump, who was in the room, stood up abruptly. And remember, there's a lot of Secret Service and other officers in the room, and so everyone sort of goes into high alert. And Donald Trump walks out of the room, the door's open. Every time he walks out of the room, it's like a volcano of camera flashes. Everything just bursts. And so it was all of this crazy stuff happening within, a couple of minutes, and just a really wild scene. And maybe it has competition elsewhere in that same day for another crazy thing that took place.
Do you want to talk about it?
Well, that one was that the judge had... there was this dispute over Trump's comments in front of the press and whether he was insulting the law clerk that sits next to the judge. And Trump's camp claimed no, that in fact he was insulting Michael Cohen, who's on the other side of the judge and sort of down on the witness stand. And so we come back in from lunch, and the judge says, Mr. Keyes, who's Trump's lawyer, is it your client's position that he in fact was talking about Mr. Cohen and not about my law clerk? And Keyes says yes, and the judge says, okay, we're going to hold a hearing right here, right now. And he says, and I'm going to call a witness to the stand, Donald J. Trump. And so Trump stands up.
Did he look surprised at that moment?
He had to have been surprised. It was impromptu. He hadn't testified, as far as I understand, in open court in 10 years. And all of a sudden, he's up on the stand with his hand up in the air and then seated, and the judge asks him a series of questions. He was up there for maybe 3 minutes saying, yes, I was talking about Michael Cohen. He walks off the stand, and the judge immediately says, I did not find that testimony credible, and you're fined $10,000. And that was all on the same day. So it was a wild day in court.